remember the day that I entered the Civitas office to be interviewed for the Civitas Academy. I had never felt so nervous in my entire life, for not only was I in the high school that I would be attending the following year, but I was being interviewed through one of the most prestigious programs I had ever had the opportunity to be a part of. Little did I know that upon receiving my acceptance into this academy, that I would be making lifelong friends, learning more about government locally, nationally, and internationally, acquiring the skills to speak eloquently and professionally, figuring out how to write, pay attention, be scholarly, work as a team with others, study, manage my time, and most importantly, being able to create and craft myself into the woman that I would most like to become. It seems impossible to sum up such a life-changing experience into a speech, but of course, I will do the best that I possibly can, another skill that I learned in Civitas. Since day one of Civitas, Mrs. Reed has talked about our senior project, the planning, the effects the projects have on the community, the multitude of projects on such a wide spectrum of creativity, and the hard work that each individual senior put into his or her own project. Witnessing so many amazing and successful projects, I knew I wanted to devise a plan to create a project that could reflect my character and something pertinent I had learned from this academy. Being my final year, I knew the anticipation would only heighten to begin planning my project. After spending about 78 hours at APAPA, Asian Pacific Islander American Public Affairs Associations over the summer for my internship, I had acquired knowledge beyond my expectations. The inspiration rolled in daily for what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be. And of course, the civic skills I had mastered came into play during my internship, helping me become as successful as possible. The skills I obtained from my internship would contribute to my future successes not only in high school, but for my future. After much in-depth thinking, collaboration with Mrs. Reed, and thorough contemplation, I decided upon an idea that would perfectly incorporate my skills from Civitas and my summer internship. I decided I would take on organizing a community voters education forum. Almost every single day in my office and my internship, we would spend a significant amount of time on the annual voters education forum that they had held. They would have speakers come for each proposition president, and almost everything that would be on the November ballot. I knew this would be perfect for me. After approving it with Mrs. Reed, I decided I would plan a community voters education forum in which I would educate the public on specific propositions. I would discuss measures and propositions inherently connected to education. I believe that since this 2012 November election held so many proposals specifically related to education, that the outcomes would greatly affect where I lived and how I was educated. And since I could not vote, I felt it to be my civic duty to make sure I could do all I possibly could to make sure that those who could vote had an adequate amount of knowledge to make an educated decision. I thought this the best way to make sure my voice could be heard. I remember being in Mrs. Reed's classroom on the first day of class and seeing her poster that read, "Here is your vote soapbox, now what do you stand for?" or something along those lines. Since I could not legally vote, I got my voice out the best way I knew how, by educating others. Therefore, I chose Measure N, Proposition 30, and Proposition 38 as the topics I would discuss in my forum. I wanted a pro and con speaker for each proposal, and I wanted the speakers to be well known and respectable, and extremely familiar with the education system so they could appeal to pathos. So I began calling speakers, booking a date and place for my forum, and trying to figure out the perfect way to run my forum. After booking the venue and speakers, I began publicizing by sending out an email to all staff and members of the San Juan Unified School District and a few other districts as well. I even got to participate in another forum in which I was chosen to be one of the panel of 6 students to question San Juan school candidates who hope to be seated on the Board of Education. And I was mentioned in the paper as I passed around the T-Rex. That's the first page, but it's also coming around to you. In addition, I had the flyers I made posted all around the Rio neighborhood and school, and even went door to door with other volunteers to try to encourage the community to come. I knew I wanted to do this completely independently, but to be completely honest, I did not expect it to be as hard as it was. I ran into a few road bumps along the way pertaining to dates, venues, and speakers. However, using the skills I obtained in the Civitas program, I believe I persevered to the best of my ability. There were about 70 to 80 people there, and I was happy with how it turned out considering it was actually the night of baseball playoffs and the second presidential debate. I remember it going smoothly and feeling completely comfortable and calm the whole time because I knew what I was doing, and I knew I worked as hard as I possibly could to organize it. I used my skills of knowing state policy from the state and local government Civitas class. I used my poise and articulation in speaking at my forum that I had learned from my speech class. I used my tools of organization and scholarly skills that I had learned from Mrs. Reed, and of course Civitas attributed to many other skills to my successes that I cannot even begin to finish, for it would take much longer than the time we have provided today. But succeeding in my senior project is certainly not the only way that Civitas has impacted my life. From day to day, I find myself thinking of this class and how it has helped me develop as a person. Because of this program, I have certain goals and aspirations that drive me to succeed. Of all the classes that we were required to take for Civitas, I would have to say that international relations impacted me the most, harnessing my interest and attention. Learning to think introspectively and learning about world affairs really drew me in. This is why I wish to study at the University of San Diego, for they offer an amazing international relations program along with a great journalism program, since I decided that I would like to major in international relations and minor in journalism. In addition to this, they have the #1 study abroad program. In addition to this, they have the #1 study abroad program. And after being exposed to so many cultures, studying abroad is something I know that I would love to do. I hope to travel to third world countries respectively, documenting my experiences there and hopefully compounding it into a book that I would devise and hope to share with the rest of the world, connecting other cultures to mine, other life experiences to mine, etc. Without Civitas, I would have not these ambitions driving me to succeed each and every single day. Without Civitas, I would not be civic-minded, worldly educated, open-minded, philosophically thoughtful, an advanced speaker, organized, or as in touch with the world around me as I am today. Today, I stand a civic-minded youth with plans to change the world for a better tomorrow by starting small and finishing big. Joining Civitas is one of the greatest decisions of my life, and I am thankful I have had the opportunity to be surrounded by such amazing peers, teachers, and have the opportunities I have been given throughout this program. Thank you for listening to my Civitas experience, and I hope you can appreciate Civitas as much as I do. This is my flyer that I also pass out to you, just in case you all didn't get to see it. And these are some of the things that I had attributed to my senior project. I actually had Ms. Dow as a speaker, and
any questions? Yes.
So in your education and the form that you had, did you find that the information that you got that was shared there was significantly different than education that say that we might get education in air quotes from the media?
yes, I actually got really professional and profound speakers that specifically were in support or in opposition of the certain propositions, and I had studied it a lot, like a lot to learn, because obviously I am interested in politics, but I actually learned a lot from the speakers that I had, and it was really interesting. I didn't set it up to have it as a debate, it was more of like a back and forth thing, so that it wouldn't be controversial, but I found it very educational, and I got really good feedback.
It looked like from your flyers you would have somebody present the pro side of a proposition and the con, so how, when you reached out to them, did you make it so that it wasn't confrontational, but that they just expressed an opinion without getting too opinionated for what you were looking for?
Well, I actually started looking in the newspapers to see who was in support of and in opposition of, and through my connection through a pop-up, they actually had supplied me with a list of good speakers, and I had a pretty good relationship, I'd say, with the speakers that I had, and I specifically said it's not a debate, it's not meant to be controversial, but if it does get to that point, then either my mentor or I will intervene to make sure that
Who was your mentor at that topic?
I had Lucy Oback and Sophie Cole.
Friends of mine.
They're great.
Yes, they are.
They often take our Civitas kids, so we're really pleased to have them.
I learned a lot. I actually, for my internship, I thought I was just going to be me and doing work stuff, like sitting in a cubicle, but every Friday they had the college kids come in for their internships, and Ms. Oback actually let me participate with them in the workshops that they had done, so I actually felt really superior among everyone else.
Yeah.
I would just like to say that as a presenter, she did a really good job of organizing it. She made the presenters feel at home. She did all of the arrangements so that you didn't have to do anything but show up with your materials, and she was just great. Worked well on the phone, well informed. Her job as the organizer of that was really good.
Thank you.
We're pleased to hear that.
Worked really hard on it.
Yeah. Sabine, thank you.
Thank you.